problem.
Thank you.
Okay, recording started.
Okay, we'll call this regular board meeting to order.
Oh,
What? Did anybody catch that?
I didn't hear you.
paperwork for Doug, maybe?
I'm here. Okay.
Your paperwork's about to arrive, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or not? Did you say paperwork for Doug, did you? Yeah.
I got one for each of the board if you want it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Lost all my stuff.
Do you have to report out of closed session again?
Yeah, so the President, the report out of closed session would be that direction was given to staff, but that all the items have not been discussed yet, so we would like to return to closed session at the end of the open meeting.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Mr. Board President, yes, sir. Easier, did you announce that we are calling Robert's Rules of Order for the meeting?
Have not yet?
Okay.
Why don't you take your mask off, Calvin, so we can hear you?
I like my mask, it keeps my face warm.
It's in our bylaws, Anthony, that we do the Robert's Rules of Order,
Yes,
so.
but it's just formality that, just
Okay.
to announce so that
You want
remind me, as a reminder to the public.
Yes, and prior to the public, we do follow Robert's Rules of Order in these meetings, so I would like to clarify that we would like to maintain some decorum throughout the course of the meeting, so keep comments brief, and please treat everyone with respect and dignity that they deserve. Moving on, do we have any public comment for items that are not on the agenda? No. Okay.
Hold it, actually, I might as well.
Okay.
When we come to the podium, or you don't have it?
No, but I will have to
Okay.
sign in the end, okay?
Okay. I got a couple questions, and then I've got one thing that I want to get off my mind of these rate increases. And when you guys, a couple years ago, you were feeding us a bunch of baloney about how everybody else's rates were higher. Now, I'm not talking about water, I'm talking about sewer. Okay, so Paso Robles, their sewer rate right now is only $45. And they're going to, they want to increase it because they got a new sewer plant and everything. But it's gonna, they want to raise it up to $75 over 8 years. Now my question is, why was ours tripled, went from 36 up to $98 all at once, and it's still raising? I'm talking sewer. Now they just built theirs,
Sure.
and
The short answer is that prior to the rate increase that we voted in 2 years ago, there hadn't been a rate increase in 9 years.
well, they apparently hadn't had one either, actually.
Sure, I understand. We as a board were presented with a water rate study which had comparative rates for other communities. I don't recall Paso Robles being one of them. I know that a lot of more of the coastal communities, San Simeon and some others that were drastically higher. Atascadero was on there. And we were at the very bottom of the list. We were at the lowest rate, and that I think is largely because it had been so long since there was an increase. So when the water rate study was completed, they determined that for water and for sewer, that we were running a deficit, meaning that our cost of operation was significantly more than we were bringing in with the bills, with the bill rates. So in order to even get us close to getting back to operating in a positive number, there was a significant increase in the beginning. All the increases after that were incremental. myself and the other board members at the time went back to the water rate study people, Bartle Wells, along with staff and district engineer, on no less than 5 occasions, and said that the rates that they were proposing to get us back into positive numbers were too much for the community to bear. So we literally asked for a minimum, which is what they came back with, and that's what we passed ultimately. Because it was too much at the time, and it was a bigger number than you had said even in the beginning.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I want to know who, you guys paid somebody a lot of money, who was feeding him the information, is my question.
I think that
Because, like I said, Ashley, I mean, we don't know, because, now you say Pastor Opals wasn't included in that audit, but I think we need to find out what the deal is on this. I mean, like, as far as water, okay, well, that's too high too. But the people here have a way of controlling that. We don't have any way of controlling that sewer bill, which is $100 a month, and it's gonna keep going higher. And Pastor Robles is going from $45 a month, and then in the next 8 years, it'll be increased to $75. Now, you explain that.
part of the challenge is that we have limited numbers of accounts. We have 934 water accounts and 760 some wastewater accounts. If you compare those numbers, you have, 934 people paying for water and 760 some paying for sewer. In Paso Robles, what's their population? 30,000 people? And how many accounts do they have?
Well, yeah, but they have more sewer.
They do, absolutely.
So, they redid their treatment plant. I mean, it's all up to specs and everything. And so, and their sewer plant, ours don't need to be as big as theirs is,
Sure.
and so on. So what I'm saying, I mean, it's way off kilter, and something don't look right here.
It's hard to directly compare. They're an incorporated community, and the way that they derive taxes is different. And again, it's a much larger population, so it's hard to directly compare San Miguel to Paso.
Well, I understand that, but I'm comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
Sure.
I mean, they have so much waste that they're getting rid of. They have to do it, so, and we have X number of waste that we have to, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, that's, we got, you guys wrote this, coming up with all this. And then the same thing now, started out that treatment plant was supposed to cost like $3 million. And the last meeting I was in, it's up to $14 million for the treatment plant.
What I remember was 11.8, something like that.
Okay, well, it went from 3, started out 3, and so I think we need to get control of what the heck's going on in this little community. I mean, the spending's out of control.
Yeah, we're obligated to have a treatment plant that has the capacity to serve our existing and future populations, so we have to kind of factor in what we think the population growth will be and forecast, for at least the next 20 to 40 years in capacity.
So you guys do it all at once. Pastor Opals did the same thing.
Right.
Like they're about 40,000, I think, now. And we're probably counting all the, I'll frickin' say it, all the illegals and everything, we're probably up to 6,000 or 7,000, population here.
In San Miguel?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Mr. Board President, if I may, because I watched the presentation for Pastor Robles on their rate study.
By all means.
The rate study that they're doing is they were backfilling the deficit, because they were, up until a couple of years ago, relying on Templeton. Templeton was sending their sewage to the city of Paso Robles to the tune of almost $1 million. And because Templeton severed the line, the city of Paso needed to backfill the difference. And the rate increase that they're doing is based off of filling that deficit. And then also, I do believe our staff informed that we are pursuing a grant, because that 11 million is actually a big chunk of it is the recycled purple pipe project, and a large chunk of that is possibly going to be funded through grant funding, which hopefully we'll hear news later on this year, next at some point.
Well, unfortunately, there's news tonight on that.
Oh, sounds wonderful.
Just, if you would like, we had our first rate increase for sewer was to $91. And at that time, Paso was actually the lowest, and they were included in the rate study. They were the lowest at $54.60 as an average. However, they, at that time and up until this current year, have a volumetric rate for sewer. So they're not, it's not really an apples to apples, because ours is entirely fixed.
Right.
However, you were entirely true, we were trying to get out of a deficit, which was a lot of it. However, the anticipated loan payment for the wastewater treatment plant at that time was factored in. And even today, that amount is taken off the top before we even consider any other operating expense. So that money is being set aside for this purpose, because that's what it was designated for in the first place.
Right. Okay. Does that help clarify that?
Well, no, I mean, because like I said, they're gonna increase theirs up to $75 or $80 in an 8-year period. And you guys slammed ours on us all at once. We went from 36, I think, or something like that, like Kelly said, up to $91. Bang! And now, my last bill, it's 98, might as well say $99. And it's gonna go up, what is it, every quarterly?
Annually.
Once a year.
Yeah, what, 5%? 5%, yeah. So why can't we put a freaking stop on it right now? I mean, you don't have to keep raising it, you got it 3 times as much as it was.
Well, the initial increase was set for a 5-year period. So we increased along with the incremental annual increases over a 5-year period. So
it's gonna go up to $120 at the end, right?
no, it would be quite that much because
Wow.
we're 3 years in on a 5-year
Yeah,
program,
so $110,
give or take.
yeah. Well, Paso Robles won't be up to 85 for another 7-8 years. So, there's some bad arithmetic going on here. And like I said, with that sewer going from 3 million, which you guys you fed us that line, well, it's gonna cost 3 million, so we have to fund, we have to increase the rates to fund that 3 million. Now it's up to, I'll go with what you said, 11.5 million. I heard it was 14 at one of these meetings.
Some of the costs have already been paid. 11.8 was the last figure that I heard, but also it's being done in stages. 11.8 includes the purple pipe, if I recall, does it not, Mr. Douglas?
So the entire build out of the project is estimated at 14.5.
Okay.
The first phase is roughly 9 to 10 million. However, a large chunk of that is going to be grant funds. USDA is already committed to partially funding it with grant funds. However, the exact amount won't be known until we actually have a formal response from them from that. So initially, I think with the rate study, it was anticipated that we would be paying around $4 million in a loan, and I think that's what Mr. Davis is referring to. And yes, the costs have gone up, and the costs are still going to go up. because every time we turn around, there's one more hurdle that logically shouldn't be there.
Right.
So, however, this is gonna be done in phases, because obviously we don't have $14 million.
Right.
And we were trying to do this as fiscally responsible as possible, because obviously there is only 760 people paying for this project. So until we get a few hundred more people, unfortunately those 700 people have to pay for the treatment plant in order to be able to handle their waste.
Right. Okay.
Well, purple pipe, that's on my list too.
Uh-huh.
Kelly, I don't know how good of a businessman you are, but I tell you one thing, I would not commit any of our money to any of these vineyards thinking that they're gonna buy water from you. If they wanna buy water from you, let them do the cost of the purple pipe. Because these vineyards, I mean, they've screwed this town and all the cities and water areas around here enough. So don't think you're gonna be able to recoup any of that money for purple pipe from these vendors.
Something wouldn't be developed unless there was a commitment, and also maybe something that can be developed in grant funding. So with all the unknowns, it's really impossible to quantify what will happen a year, 2 years, or even 5 years from now, and when that will be developed. And we just don't know. There's not any commitments, and we haven't committed either.
Well, let's forget the purple pipe. Let them worry about it.
It's
If they
an
want.
option that's something that would be considered if it were
Yeah.
financially viable and beneficial, so.
We also need to work with all of our partners in the basin because we don't have the several millions of dollars nor the water allocation from Nascimento, which would far outstrip the cost of the Purple Pipe network.
Right.
Because then you're going to have to build a pipe from Ozona to San Miguel, plus you have to treat the piped water and also pay the city of Paso or San Luis, and we know how much they love to get money as much as they can, especially from us, if they could try to. So we have to weigh our costs very carefully, and I know staff's working hard on that, and we'll hopefully have a much clearer picture when we get closer to the formal bid part for the plant.
As we can get out of the weeds with the environmental people, we're well on our road. Well on the road to actually having something. And just one last word on the purple pipe is we are not intending to build it all out unless we get grant funding, unless there is a true bona fide buyer for it. And in the discussion with the one that has made the most interest in it, is they would basically run a line from our property to their property. So that cost wouldn't be on the district.
Okay. Do we have any other public comment for items not on the agenda? Okay. All right, we'll move on to staff and committee reports. San Luis Obispo County, do we have a verbal?
Obispo County, they said they might be here,
No.
something to do, but they didn't respond
Okay,
anymore.
no Slow County, how about Camp Roberts?
Mr. Mittens was supposed to maybe show up.
Okay.
I spoke to Mr. Mittens this morning, we had a Zoom meeting, and he apologizes, his intent was to be here, but he had to go down to San Luis to the airport to pick somebody up. So he will plan on attending future meetings.
Okay, thank you. How about community service organizations? Okay,
For the San Miguel Firefighters Association, we've got 2 items coming up. Friday the 2nd, the U.S. Army reached out to us. They would like to bring the Easter Bunny with some of their vehicles and go through town handing out Easter eggs. They asked if we could bring some of the vintage apparatus and some of the new engines as well. So we'll be doing that with them on Friday the 2nd. And then Saturday, the 17th, we're putting on the Sagebrush Days Parade. This will be the 30th parade. There's not going to be a vendor fair or any food that we participate in, but the town's been informed that there's going to be a parade, so that's all I have.
Did you say Friday? It's always been on Saturday.
Two different things.
That's for the Easter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
For
Right,
the-
Michelle? Okay.
For the Easter, has it been publicly noticed or advertised for the community?
There's a giant sign on the community board,
Okay.
and it's on Facebook. We're going to let the schools know and the churches know as well.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on the staff and committee reports up to this point? No. All right, move on to district staff and committee reports. Interim General Manager.
All right, 700 forms. They're due by April 1st. If you guys have not submitted, either written or on the internet, please see tomorrow before Tuesday, the 30th. The 10th and 11th Street project is finished, just calling all the necessary paperwork. Want to thank Kelly Dodds. That was a very large project, put a lot of time into, and the street's nice. So we now have water lines underneath the railroad tracks. Chapter 8 sale of a tax delinquent property, sale number 258 will be on June 1st, 2021. We are in line to acquire the property. That's between 12th and 13th Street on Mission, on the west side. We have secured a grant from the California School Board Association to the district for the Gatsby report, Governmental Accounting Standard Board for the cost of $1,500. Normal this cost between $3,000 to $5,000. This will be for the 2021 audit for the district finances. This is the third year in a row that Tamara has been able to secure and getting this grant, so I want to thank her for her efforts. We filled the position for the billing in the front office. Michelle Heido started on February 22nd. She's picked up on the job and the responsibility really well. We also hired Trevor Paisley in the water utility operator position. He also started on February 22nd, and his supervisor reports he's doing really well. The fire department has several projects in the work. We're currently getting we have a group of new firefighters ready for wildland season. Scott has taken on some extra training and getting them all ready for wildland season. And we'll also be participating in the burnout at Camp Roberts and the Wooey drill, wildland urban interface drill. The fire department is also working on a training opportunity. We're going to have a live training burn. We're going to be setting up several different technical rescue, fire evolutions, things that we do that we normally don't have opportunity to do. We will actually be burning the structure on River Road, and the final date for that has not been completed yet because we have to finish doing some inspecting and stuff and getting it ready. There are also going to be the CSD CPR classes tentatively scheduled for April. All CSD employees will participate in that training, and the board members are welcome to attend that as well, and I'll get the dates to you guys. Tentatively, it looks like the 14th of April is what I'm going to try to shoot for. And then the fire department will be doing theirs on Tuesday the 13th. So you guys will be available to do that, and you can do that one. You could participate in an evening one if you choose to. So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
I have one question. Is it CPR and first aid, or is it just CPR?
It's a CPR AED portion of it. It's not the first aid portion of it, but we cover most of it.
Okay.
The certification would just be for CPR.
And then only because, and what is the certification rank, just out of curiosity? Because
Well, you have layperson, which is any person, civilian.
Okay.
Then you have rescue provider,
Mhm.
and then you have AED. And then
Okay.
we do our general first aid CPR part of it, which is stop the bleeding, start the breathing type stuff.
Okay. I remember there was being those different, and I was just curious.
If you go to the AHA website,
Mhm.
they offer about 50 different courses with all kinds of prices. Essentially, it's all the same stuff, just the way it's delivered.
Uh-huh.
So So we're doing a care provider because we're the fire department,
Mhm.
but staff in the CSD are just required to have general CPR certification, layperson, and basically.
Okay.
It is a 4-hour course.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any public comments on the interim general manager's report? No. Any board comment? No. Okay. Move on to district general counsel.
Nothing there, President?
Thank you. District engineer, not attending.
You guys have his report. If you have any questions, I can answer them. The most notable thing is that we did not get awarded the Prop 65 grant for GSP implementation. There was 15 applicants. Of those 15, 6 were awarded, and they were all in the valley. So apparently the guideline that each basin was awarded, going to be awarded one grant, was a farce. So, however, there is other aspects of the Prop 68 grant cycle that we will be trying for to cover other parts of the treatment plant.
Will we be applying for that for the next cycle, grant cycle?
It's an
What
ongoing.
is there?
It's ongoing, so for the other parts that we're trying for anyway. This part was specifically for GSB implementation, and that had a specific cycle. The next round of this implementation grant, we may be able to apply for it again. However, they're only taking one application from each basin. So assuming that nobody else wants to apply for it, then we'll apply for it again.
Okay.
If somebody else wants to apply for it, we'll have to let them apply for it.
Okay. And don't recall the conclusion of the 10th, 11th Street waterline replacement. You guys gone through the punch list and all the closeouts done on that, or we're still working on this?
So we're closed out of the construction, however, we're still working through the paperwork. So we're, on paperwork that they should be putting together as they go, they seem to be really lost as far as where it is. So we're almost there. We've met with the county. The county is satisfied with a few paperwork items that we're waiting on the contractor for, lien releases and invoices and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Other than that, everything else has been, as I said, construction is all complete. We're waiting on compaction reports, and then the county will sign off on the easement permit. And once we have those and a few other things, then the county will sign off on our grant and submit the final invoice and wrap that up.
Okay.
Actually, I got a question on the 11th Street for Kelly.
Procedurally, we just have to, because you asked for public comment, did you?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, thank
I was
you.
about to.
Thank you.
Now, Kelly, isn't there a sewer line going under there too?
There is a sewer line going under the tracks.
Was it okay, or did you replace that?
No, it is okay.
Okay, so you just got water.
So this grant was only for the water lines in the first place. However, that sewer line is okay. And it did not need to be replaced.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No. Any other board comment?
Yes, Mr. Doggs, I'm going to assume that you didn't find anything interesting while boring that line.
Other than things I didn't know about contractors, no. We were, in the entire project, the archaeologist found one arrowhead that was sitting on the surface, so who knows how that got there. They did not find anything during any of the excavation. We did not come into anything other than rocks underground. So it was very uneventful, which is very cost effective.
Good job, Kelly. That's a good job. You didn't find anything.
Okay, we'll move on to Director of Utilities report.
You guys have my report. The only things to add is last week we discovered We were notified rather about 2 different water leaks, one on Rio Vista, one on Armand. The one on Rio Vista has been repaired, just awaiting the asphalt patch. The one on Armand, we are waiting for the phone company still to come mark their phone lines. They're claiming all sorts of things, that's why they can't come out and mark them. Once those are marked, then we can dig it up and repair it. However, legally, we have to wait for them to mark it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Dodds, the Armand's area, that is not even, that's not even 20 years old, and there's a leak in that line?
So there's a leak in the service line.
Okay.
In the time I've been here, we've had several pinhole leaks in the polyethylene service lines. And pretty much all of it is just manufacturing defects.
Okay.
However, it's not something that you can really see in the beginning. A lot of this pipe is seamed, so it's basically made flat and then rolled into a pipe and seamed together.
Okay.
And essentially all these leaks happen at a seam. So there's not really anything we can do to prevent it. This is the best type of pipe for our condition. And relatively, the number of leaks that we've had is extremely minimal compared to the amount of pipe we have.
So it's flat, and they roll it and form the pipe.
They basically make a sheet, and then they use a forming machine to roll it into the circle,
Okay.
and they have a machine that fuses the seam together.
Okay, that's different. I never heard of that technique.
Yeah, they make a lot of pipe that way.
Okay.
They do have other extrusion machines that will extrude it into that shape to start with.
And that's the most reliable form you said?
This is the most reliable type.
Okay.
Different manufacturers make it different ways, but it's all made to the same standard.
Okay.
There's truly would be seamless, but it's obviously much more expensive to manufacture.
Sure. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Did you get a total of the cost for the trailer?
Gave that to you guys a while ago.
Did you?
I don't have it with me right now, but I can resend it later.
Yeah, I don't remember getting it, but, okay.
Yeah, unless it's yours.
Okay.
I can resend it.
Any public comment on the Director of Utilities report? No.
No, I see it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, on this extruded pipe, who put that in?
I don't recall who the contractor was that put the lines in the Mission Meadows.
Well, you're just talking the service line, right?
Yeah, it's a service line.
Well, you know PVC lasts forever, don't it?
PVC is not as flexible as polyethylene. So each type of pipe
What
has
size, what size?
its-
1 inch,
it's
1 inch
about 1
is
inch.
very flexible with PVC, and it lasts forever. So I think if somebody's paying to have a service line put in,